Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we're checking out another video about the Ukraine war. So this one is from the NATO YouTube channel and it's titled Training Ukraine's Volunteer Army. So I don't know if this is specifically about like the international forces, but I think judging by what I've seen, like the few kind of clips I've seen and also the thumbnail, it's more of those volunteering to serve in the Ukrainian army to of course fight the Russian invaders. Now, the awesome folk at Wooden Army have established this really cool Kickstarter. And what this is you can actually order a kit for like a little mini wooden HIMARS. Really, really cool. I'll put like a video after this so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. And this was kind of inspired not only by the wooden HIMARS decoys that, the Ukrainians have been using, but also because, the HIMARS have been kind of like a symbol of resilience for Ukraine, which is pretty badass. But the more badass thing I would say is that this Kickstarter supports the Children of Heroes charity, which basically, is supporting children who have lost a parent or lost both parents. And it's kind of structured in a way to be able to, support them for their entire childhood, it's an awesome mission. And I'm happy to be able to kind of help at least spread awareness. So I'll put the link for that down in the video description. Definitely go and consider it. And come on, how can you really say no to such a cool motto, kids, and a really cool cause? So I'll put a little video after this so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and then we'll get into the video.
We fire those HIMARS. Well, HIMARS
include 4 more HIMARS, advanced
additional HIMARS.
Слово «хаймерс» стало для нашої країни майже синонімом слова «справедливість».
І потрібно вже пошвидше закінчити цю війну і звільнити нашу Україну нарешті від ворога.
Absolutely, man.
Я не думав, що стану військовим. Були інші плани на життя, але сталося так.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, again, this has been going on for, a little over a year now, almost a year and a half. And it's pretty gnarly to think, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, even with what happened in Crimea and whatnot in 2014, people had a bunch of plans and this just completely derails their entire way of life. So it's important to consider a lot of these guys who are fighting for Ukraine didn't ever sort of see themselves as a soldier. I know, you think of like an army, you think of people who are like volunteering because they wanted to join the military. Of course, for me, I always wanted to join the military, but I understand people who didn't really have that intention initially, who are going out and volunteering for the military to, fight for their freedom. It really means a lot. And I still can't fully understand what that sacrifice is like, but I can really sort of appreciate what it means or what it must mean for them to have to do that.
Since the UK-led training to the armed forces of Ukraine started in June 2022, over 10,000 soldiers have been
got a lot of chest hair
back to Ukraine.
Okay, so this has been going on for a while, so they've definitely gotten a lot of lessons learned.
But this is by far the most important thing I've ever done.
Dude, and exactly, like, this is why I would love to be going out and training these volunteers. Like, it is, first of all, these guys are going to use this skill. They are going back to their country and they're defending their country from these invaders. They're going to use it. They're going to need to rely on it. So you need to do it right. And you need to get like a good standard. I'm not sure how much time they're given, but again, like, in the infantry, we train for deployments and what have you. We do workups. We spend almost like a year, sometimes more than a year, training for a deployment. But again, like for something like this, these guys are going and defending their country that it's actively being, it's actively engaged in combat operations. It's engaged in war. And that means a lot to them, and it should absolutely mean a lot to you. Yeah, so I also kind of wonder what it actually looks like in Ukraine, because I you know, with any sort of military, when you join, there's like a boot camp or sort of like basic training where you kind of learn how the military works, but also learn how to do your job in the military. So I wonder what it actually looks like if they were able to pass off some of those responsibilities to all these other countries, like NATO countries, to be able to provide like some specific or specialized training, or if it's just in addition to what they get, you know, just for going through their basic training or their sort of MOS training, their occupational training. Yeah, I wonder if they were able to pass off some of those responsibilities, because we've been seeing a lot of NATO countries, specifically the UK, Norway. I think it's called Operation Interflex, if I remember that correctly. A lot of countries are taking parts to assist in training up these troops, which is good to see. But again, I do kind of wonder if it's like supplementary training or if it's like, you know, the training that they're going to get. And if that's the case, 5 weeks is good, especially if you're, you know, kind of doing it nonstop. But yeah, I mean, it's not a whole lot. So they don't have a whole lot of turnaround time. So as far as going over a bunch of different like sort of infantry skills, it must be pretty tough and demanding for the instructors as well. Because for me personally, it's a good amount of time, but I would not want them to leave after that 5 weeks if I didn't think that they knew basically everything that I knew about the infantry or combat skills. But again, they are probably going through more specialized training based off of what they're seeing from the needs of the field.
До повномасштабної війни працював барменом. Я знав, що таке зі мною буде. Я чекав на це. Я був готовий до цього. Піти захищати свою країну.
Good stuff, man.
Я дитячий лікар, дитячий хірург. І мені довелося попрацювати з дітьми, які приїхали з окупованих областей.
Oh, damn, dude, serious?
По правді сказати, те, що вони передавали, той емоційний фон, який був у них, це
That's
щось
gotta
жахливе.
be tough, man.
І з
Especially
цим
for
жахом
kids.
потрібно якось боротися.
Man, good shit.
Okay, we're gonna
But
start the demonstration.
it sucks
with
it's
a
out of
small
necessity,
recap,
you
how to
know.
enter the building, and afterwards we're gonna show you some new
A significant amount of the course is spent in the urban training facility. Urban is a complex environment with its own specific challenges, so it's really important that we train the trainees how to cope and operate in those environments.
Until now, it's going well. It's a lot of information for those guys.
Yeah, for real.
We have a short.
I think the analogy we tend to use is trying to drink from a fire hose. Like there's so much coming at you and you're trying to, you know, intake it all. But sometimes it's kind of hard. But again, with 5 weeks, like it kind of needs to be like that.
To practice it, so we have to tell them a lot of things and practice it a lot, again and again.
Yep. Repetition's
So the first
key,
man go
man.
in. The second man moves immediately behind him.
They have to try to make it similar as we do in every urban terrain. So you have to put a lot of different buildings to make it as realistic as possible.
Pretty nice training environment
We have
though.
training teams
Like
from
legit
Norway,
houses.
the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, and Finland, as well as UK and the Ukrainian national support element. Across the whole operation, there's then Canadians, Australians, and New Zealand training teams involved as well. So very multinational. It demonstrates the shared values that nations in NATO and NATO partners have, both in the support to Ukraine and just working together. Those relationships are built on years of working and operating together in other operational environments.
Lay down from my left and fill up.
And it's weird to think, but like here in a few years, or I mean, really, we don't really know what the time frame is going to be looking like. The world is going to be looking at these Ukrainian volunteers, those who go out and serve in this war, and they're going to be trying to get their experience because, again, there haven't really been many modern sort of peer-to-peer conflicts like this, especially with, you know, a country or military as big as Russia's.
Each lane and find your target, and then we will begin shortly. We're training basic marksmanship. The goal here is to have good groupings and to make sure that they
Pretty important.
use their sights correctly as well.
Yeah, exactly. Using the sights. it's not always going to be like that,
Small
especially
training's
when you're like
incredibly
really
important part, of
CQB kind of
teaching the
stuff.
trainees the
And
confidence and skills to handle a weapon safely, but also in a lethal manner to ensure that they can provide the best support to their units when they go back and are integrated into them.
It's all about teaching them
It's an important
how to
skill.
be as efficient as possible with their weapon, but also how to survive as long as possible. Every night you go to bed and you think, okay, did I do good today? Was there anything I could have done different? It's an honor to be a part of their education and to see the progress they have. There's no place I would rather be right now.
dude, and exactly. And that's exactly the mindset you need from these instructors. But like you said right there, it's like, it's an honor to be that one that is giving them these crucial skills to have them be successful when they go forward. Now, marksmanship seems like a pretty rudimentary sort of thing. It's kind of hard to really get that proficient when you're talking about just 5 weeks of training. But depending on how you train it, and again, the focus, these guys are definitely going to be motivated. So that's not really an issue. But again, like the focus, showing that the instructors actually care, and, you know, making sure that those guys are stepping away from the range with at least the confidence that they're more proficient in shooting or, you know, whatever particular skill they're doing that day.
Навчання проходить дуже добре. Для мене це нове все. Тому я намагаюся навчатися, як і мої побратими. Атмосфера у нас дуже добра. Ми намагаємося слухати наших інструкторів. У нас дуже добрий прогрес. Тому ми повернемось на Україну підготовлені захищати її.
Oh, yeah. I love the interviews, man.
As well as focusing on the relevance of the course, we also focus on the realism and immersing the trainees in those realistic battlefield scenarios to help them to understand the effects that has on them mentally and indeed physically, and also to prepare them for the battlefield that they'll go back to.
And again, with a lot of these guys, when they didn't sort of picture themselves being in a military position, that's really important. It's like going through that stress inoculation, putting them in a bunch of different scenarios, especially with compounding task or just compounding stress, and seeing how they react. Because again, they can, if they've never done anything like that, which, you know, a lot of them probably haven't, then it gives them the sort of ability to understand how they react to certain situations, or what they need to focus on, or what they might need to have on hand to assist in whatever sort of situation they felt like they didn't necessarily react to as proficiently as they should have. I mean, specifically when it comes to like medical stuff, there's a lot of things to consider, but it's like if you just have something simple like an acronym you can go off of, that really helps to sort of flesh out the steps that you need to actually handle. So you go step by step as opposed to trying to deal with, you know, too much at once.
It's like a false bombardment that's come in, and they've got to treat 2 casualties that are currently have been wounded. So it's up to the guys to understand what's wrong with them and then treat them. They get into it, making sure it's the very basic things like stopping massive bleeds, making sure the person can breathe and things like that. But it's been very, very good so far, and they're taking it
Sounds
on
like the March acronym.
Medical training is an important skill, and it's a focus on training soldiers to look after themselves should they become injured, but also to look after the soldiers left and right of them.
Yeah, we've been seeing the Ukrainians have been doing a great job with making sure their guys are taken care of in that regard.
Are going to happen over there for them to know this stuff is critical, and these guys are all over it. They're hardly put a foot wrong.
In a 5-week course, we
What system
can't
is
teach
that?
every context or every scenario that the trainees will face, but what we can give them is the basic skills and principles which they can then adapt in the context of what they're facing on the battlefield to survive and fight.
Слава Україні! Героям слава! Україна! Понад усе! Україна! Понад усе! Україна! Понад усе!
Я гордий цим, що я пішов захищати свою країну зі своїми побратимами. Буду намагатися звільнити країну від окупанта і вигнати ворога з нашої землі.
Oh yeah, dude. Man, that's motivating me.
Тобто це підтримка, яку дають норвежці, британці і загалом вся команда, яка працює з нами, вона, її неможливо оцінити. Найважливіше, що ми зараз маємо на полі бою, те, що ми не самі, те, що ми з союзниками.
Hell yeah, dude. You know, I tend to want to react to these videos because, again, I like to be able to sort of spread awareness to how the Ukrainians are training, who is supporting them, how they're doing in their operations, what they're having to deal with. But again, I end up just kind of getting just like really motivated by what I'm seeing, because these guys are just some fantastic fighters and warriors. It is just awesome to see, like, the mindset, especially with these interviews, how they talk about that. It's hard for me. Again, I did volunteer for the military, but I didn't volunteer, you know, while the U.S. was actively under attack, while our country, our land, our homes were actively under attack. So it really means something else. We have something called the National Defense Service Medal, which is basically joining the military during like a time of war or a time of conflict. And, you know, that's one thing. For me, I thought it was pretty motivating when I signed up when we were in the global war on terror. But again, for something like this, it's just on a completely other level, and we can't really appreciate or understand it that much unless we've been in their shoes or kind of, you know, been able to understand what it means to join the military under those sort of circumstances. But again, for those instructors, I'm glad that they have some solid instructors who really understand the importance of what they're doing. And we've been seeing that specifically when it comes to like the Brits and the Dutch and also, you know, Norwegians. We've been seeing that with all those countries that are supporting it. The instructors really do care. I kind of wonder like how they actually pick the instructors. I imagine it's got to be a volunteer thing, but also like I feel like everybody would volunteer to do that. Again, for me, like whatever skill, whether it be like medical or CQB or just general sort of infantry tactics, fighting positions, I would absolutely love to dive into that sort of instructor role. But yeah, I'm not sure. We're not seeing it that much when it comes to the U.S. teaching the Ukrainians. At least I haven't found any videos specifically kind of showcasing that. So if you guys do have any videos about that, definitely send it my way so I can check it out. But I also haven't heard of a whole lot of supports as far as like instructor-wise, you know, equipment-wise. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's also good stuff. Yeah, it's really great to check out these videos, to get into their mindset, to get in even into the mindset of the instructors. It really allows us to understand how serious everyone is taking this, as they should. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, especially if you guys are from Ukraine, if you guys have went through this sort of training, this volunteer training from these other countries. Let me know how it was. Let me know how the instructor perspectives seemed from y'all. But from what I've seen so far, I've been nothing but pleased to see the mindset that everybody's in. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about the video. If you guys have anything similar to this, definitely feel free to send it my way so we can check it out on the channel. And again, just provide some more awareness to kind of what the Ukrainians are dealing with, what they're doing to get themselves ready for this war. But that's it for this video. I'll see you all in the next one.